but it is going to be Dagan White on Prism versus David Reitenbach on Levia. And so now we know that there are two Levias, because I know Pat Eschke was also on Levia. This is a tough matchup for Dagan White.
Yes.
Dagan drafted incredibly well early on. Started with Halo, Wartune Red, Herald of Tenacity Red, Spears of Seriality Red, Herald of Tenacity Yellow, Adrenaline Rush Yellow, Herald of Tenacity Red. He was finding gas all the way through that first pack. The problem here is you are up against a hero that can value block your socks off.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, as the Prism player, I've done a good number of Monarch drafts, and this is the match. This is the hero you want to dodge, right? If you're the Prism player, you're like, okay, I just need to dodge Levia because they have all the 6 attacks, right? And we're just starting off the game with a good old Smash with Big Tree, which is a great, good old 6 attack here.
Doesn't block, but it does pop, so it does block. You know, I don't know how to properly say that. There's a blue Enigma Chimera and a red Herald of Tenacity. Now, giving up red Heralds on blocking is a bad feeling. They are breakpoint Heralds. However, he is rolling, if I'm not mistaken, 1 or possibly 2 Heralds of Rebirth. I know that these Pack 3 Pick 2 was a red Herald of Rebirth, so he does have Recursion as an option here. So we might see that red Herald of Tenacity come back. It is a good one because it does have a built-in Dominate, and in this format, when you cannot block well with your equipment, just tossing out something like that is a big help to you to be able to just push through on that damage.
Yeah, I think we're attacking with the Spectral Shield here for 4. I do believe that's what's going on here.
Yes.
We're using the Iris, attacking with the Spectral Shield for 4. If you don't know, the Iris gives all your Spectral Shields the ability to attack for 4 with Go Again for 3 resources, which is what we see here, immediately followed up by a good old Militia.
Surging Militia, yeah. And it's all your auras, frankly, can go a swing for 4. I know there was a lot of discussion that probably about like 3 months old where people were talking about like, hey, Iris Dromai, and I'd be like, yeah, cool, keep dreaming. It's wonderful to come to Las Vegas with dreams in your pocket, but in reality, the Iris of Reality is really a limited card, but having an opportunity here to actually swing with that Spectral Shield, it is going to be incredibly important here for Dagan White to lean on Aura Generation because he knows that being able to connect with a Herald is going to be excessively difficult against Levia that has so many 6s.
And here we just see David kind of sleeving up the equipment pieces because they're going to matter for the random rolls banish effects for Levia. Here we have just a good old Deadwood Rumbler. This is going to be coming in for, it's the blue one? If it's blue, it's coming in for 6 here.
We're going to go ahead and discard a card. A Stony Wutenhagen. Great card.
Wutenhagen.
Dagan went whole hog on his draft because he's got 5 Stony Wutenhogs.
That's a lot. I was going to say that's a lot of beef. That's a lot of pork. There's a lot of big old hairy hogs.
I am now hungry. I know that we're going to Benny Hanna later, and I really hope that Mr. Hanna is there because I came all the way from Toronto for this. So a 7 spot on this Rumbler, and you are not necessarily worried about the damage. What you might want to do here if you're Dagan, knowing that your Heralds are going to be punchless, is maybe protect that Spectral Shield because that is your output for damage here.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's not inconceivable that he just wants to protect the shield, for sure. Protect it, maybe keep blue or something in your hand so you can still clap back for another 4. Definitely reasonable here, right? And I think that might be the exact situation. Oh, nope, we have hey, look, one of the big pork daddies himself, Stony Wutenhog.
Hey, I just found my rap name.
Big Pork Daddy.
Big Pork Daddy. So Stony Wutenhagen for 5, and again protecting the Spectral Shield as it is a nice way to output there. Coming in for looks like a 6 here.
I'll buy your first LP. Don't worry about it.
You damn right. Yeah. When is the the Big Pork Daddy and Phasmatis?
Well, we'll hook up later this year.
All right, so again, very much nurturing this Spectral Shield like it's his chosen son. Dagan White knows that a lot of the output here is going to be off of using Iris of Reality to swing the Spectral Shield. And looking at how many blues, he was struggling. And a lot of the times drafting the Stony Wutenhogs is frankly because he was really hungry for fuel. He needed blues in order to actually use the Iris of Reality. Now, Dagan's deck is exceptionally strong. There are a lot of red heralds. I believe there are about 5 red heralds in this deck.
Seems good.
That said, they're pretty useless into Levia if she can just pop them. So protecting the output that you have, sending those Stony Woottenhogs, sending the generic attacks, sending the Spectral Shield as a 4 attack, that is pretty important. As you can see, he's going to be pitching another blue, sending a 4 here, and you're probably going to see, Kel, you're going to see a lot of these heralds being used as blockers.
Yeah, I mean, this kind of does a nice little mimicry of something like an Anothos, right? Pitch 3, attack for 4, block with most of your hand just to protect it. That feels like the strategy that he's going with right now, and it feels like it's a strategy that's very much working.
Michael Fang actually mentioned that when you got a Spectral Shield, it just feels like swinging Titan's Fist or swinging Winter's Wail without, it's the same kind of feeling. Block, 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 swing Titan's Fist, block, 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 swing Titan's Fist. And again, there's a Herald of Tenacity Red and an Enigma Chimera that are going to be blocking out there. And those are Phantasm attacks. They are so punchless in the face of Levia. And Levia here hasn't been banishing, so there's no blood debt that she's on the hook for.
Yeah, and I think that's the real crux here. The reason Dagan really isn't leaning into these big, splashy angels with the, undercosted overset is because they have Phantasm, and you don't want to just get them popped randomly by Levia, who's going to have a lot of 6 attacks. So leaning into this Spectral Shield is like the smart move, and it's just kind of like how you're going to play this matchup, right?
Well, right now, the Spears of Surreality is a 5 attack with Go Again, but it does have Phantasm. This might have been a situation where Dagan said, okay, this is just 5. Do you want to give me a popper on this? And in this case, no. We're just going to block, and I don't think he had a popper in hand, so that could have been a situation.
I don't think so.
And ultimately, the damage was soaked up here, but this is going to be an Adrenaline Rush. Adrenaline Rush is going to punch above its weight if you are at less of a life total.
Yeah, I actually really like this card. For a lot of formats that I play, like casual formats, like Commoner, I think it's a pretty underrated card. It can do a lot of damage here. It's one of the ones that I like to look out for in draft because it can come in for around 7 points of damage. It does a nice job of mimicking like a Wounded Bull, for example. Doesn't have that base 6 attack though. It only gets up there from its own ability, which is why I wasn't able to use it as a popper. But still coming in for 6, right?
Hey.
Threatening a little bit of damage. I mean, Dagan's done a fantastic job of preserving his life and also that Spectral Shield, which looks like it's going to get popped right now.
It took the bite here. It looks like Dagan might be coming in possibly with, I see a Zealous Belting, and that is an excellent card here because with all those Heralds that you have, you can potentially pitch, to get the Zealous Belting to have Go Again. Unfortunately, opting in this case to actually send the Brandish. It's a 3 Go Again. If it does hit, your weapons get +1 attack this turn, but you can't swing with Iris. So
no, you can. He doesn't have any Spectral Shields out there. Well, here's a big old Enigma Chimera, yellow one coming in for 7. And he's going to meet that with a good old popper.
Yeah, and that is something that Dagan White is going to have to just, basically digest, is that's what's going to happen here. And that Brandish was selected over Parable of Humility and over Blue Wartune Herald. And in my mind, I thought Blue Wartune Herald was the go-to here. You need blues to swing with your auras. Plus, it's a block 3. I thought it was an auto pick, but he might have taken it potentially to just deny, let's say, a Bolton that was to his right, because it was being passed right. So he took the Brandish possibly to deny Levi.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. It's definitely something you can do in draft to what you'd call like a hate pick or something like that. Here we have from David, it's just a casual Meat Axe for 3, right? He did the draw discard, and unfortunately for him, did not discard a 6 attack to meet the Meat Axe's insatiable hunger. So just coming in for a 3 here, which is honestly like a pretty easy block to cover up in Prism. Prism has a lot of 3 blocks in her deck. We do have a 2 block here with one of those.
Yeah, it's also one of those Adrenaline Rushes. You're way beyond that. I don't think that Dagan is likely going to be falling 2 behind. So that is an expendable card. Why not? He's coming in with a frontline scout from Arsenal. It's going to allow you to take a look. Now, this is a brilliant play because what you're doing here is you're saying, do I have a free pass to send a Herald? Yeah. So he's going with the Go Again option, but he's also getting what's even more important, Kel, information. knowledge is power in this matchup. And here it is, because he knows he's got a free pass to send a War-Toon Herald for 7.
Yeah, nice casual 7 coming in. Knows he can just... Ooh, okay, here we have a blinding beam from Arsenal. And he's like, you know what? Hey, I was prepared. I saw your hand. I knew what was going on, and I'm prepared for it. So here you're going to take a little bit of damage here. That blinding beam is going to shrink, do a little shrinky-dink on that attack and make it so it doesn't actually pop it.
The shrink or the dink. But look at that. Is that a triplicate of big boss hog?
He's going hog wild in that hand. Just looking at just well, not quite mono Stony Wooten Hog, but it's pretty close.
I tell you, when you draft 5, you're getting the butcher's discount on this one, man, because you got 3 Stony Wooten Hogs. It's going to pitch, and I love this. He's going to take the damage and sneak out a Spectral Shield, because the opportunity here is to actually go ahead and pitch, swing with that. It's a 4-go again, and then he's probably just going to go ahead and send the other Stony Wooten Hog.
Yeah, it's a pretty high damage turn, actually. Got a max. Oh, no, we have a Herald here.
He's trying it here, and I don't blame him, because eventually Levia will run out of 6s, and I think that this is a fair play. Oh, he found the pound for a pound, not even a brute card.
Did have the pound for a pound. You got to expect some degree of 6s here, but...
And frankly, when you're going to the butcher, sometimes you're saying, give me a pound of this, a pound of that, pound for a pound, yeah.
I see what you're doing there. Yeah, I mean, like...
Oh, no, 5 cards left there.
The decks are getting pretty small.
All right, so Levia is just flexing on him, saying, yeah, I got double what you got, bucko. So in this case, unfortunately, Dagan, despite drafting a very potent Prism list, unfortunately just found the silver bullet and is queued into Levia, which is a very tough matchup again. And this was something it happens. It definitely happens. And I think Dagan here has actually approached this very smart, knows that he is a dog here in this one, but ultimately has decided to do his best and attack in the appropriate way, which is the generics first. Try to preserve these auras to swing. It's your only outlet, but unfortunately, those auras, your attack pattern here is basically a expendable resource. He found it. All right, so the pound for a pound is banished here, meaning that big boy is going to get beefed up. We're finding an extra action point too. Why not?
I think what's really important to note here also is that none of the cards that were banished have Blood Debt. So Levia can just kind of pivot into like a fatigue strategy. His opponent's at so little card equity in their deck. He can just be like, hey, I'm going to threaten a bunch of damage here. You're going to have to block it, or you're just going to take enough to put you into a lethal range. And I'm happy to do that. I have enough cards in my deck where I can just kind of wait it on out, right?
I don't believe we saw any. I don't know if you caught any legendaries floating around in this pool. I don't think we saw anybody draft any.
I didn't see any. No.
Yeah, and ultimately, you make do with what you have. We did see some Majestic's wheel. We saw the Dread Scythe wheel. We saw some Majestic attack actions, non-attack actions. Somebody pulled me aside and showed me their full art foil Herald of Erudition.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, stamped and everything. A wonderful hit, and I don't know if they're playing Prism or not, but they just grabbed it, so why not?
I mean, honestly, I don't blame them. So here we have a follow-up by the good old Meat Axe. It is going to discard a card that's a 6 attack and give it a nice little pump here, so it's going to be coming in for 5. That was a blue Dreadwood Rumbler that got discarded, so it was a 6 attack there. So, like, once again, pushing a lot of damage here, demanding cards from Dagan, and that's kind of what you want to do, especially when he's like so low in cards in deck.
Well, that's what you got to be, whether you're you have to make do with what you have, and unfortunately here he's going to come in with a Herald of Judgment, which allows you to not play out of. If it hits, you cannot. Oh, that is a chef's hat, ladies and gentlemen. That is not the Marshmallow Man. That is a chef's hat, as they have all showed up wearing chef's hat because they said they're cooking up something nice, and it might be some pork fillets with those Stony Wooten Hogs.
Yeah. Hey, big boss hog, right?
Big boss hog, baby. So unfortunately, though, Dagan had to take a risk here and send the Herald. If you're going to get back into this matchup, you have to take these risks. And he sent the Herald. He is basically very low on cards. You see the 2 Wooten Hogs wheeled back. They are block 2s, but they are generic attacks. So he is able, potentially, to stay alive and represent some offense.
Yeah, and, David's deck isn't, like, super robust, right? It is whittling down there too. And every turn we pass, the deck gets smaller. I'm just really, really curious if Dagan's going to get gassed out in the next turn or so here, especially with the life totals being I don't want to call them super robust, but 7 and 9, they're healthy-ish, right? They're not crazy lethal, especially in a limited environment like this.
7 of 9 also rescued from the Delta Quadrant from the Borg.
Yes, I get the Star Trek reference.
If we're just talking about historical facts, that's all I'm saying. But Dread Screamer's a nasty one. This is an opportunity here to go 5 go again. We are the Levia has been satisfied. There is 1 blood debt. Not going to take the penalty here, but this is 5 go again off the Dread Screamer, looking for a banish of 6, finds it. So Dagan White under the gun here.
Honestly, I think David's done a remarkable job staying off blood debt this whole game. He hasn't really had to contend with it, and I think it's made it so that he can just kind of play this more, I don't want to say middling strategy, but just kind of leverage on his normal cards. Doesn't have to. Ooh, well, we do have a nice little pump there.
Yeah, he finds it, and this is something that Dagan would have probably liked to not see, and it is going to go up to 5, which is, it's lethal and change, and unfortunately, Dagan running out of cards. I think what Dagan was hoping for here is maybe it's just a 3, he could stay alive, potentially being able to attack and maintain cards, and that's with the juncture of the game we're at now, where you can't block if you got nothing in hand.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Dagan sitting here, you know how many cards you have left in your deck. You know your card equity, and you can't just toss it away willy-nilly. You really have to think about it. And it's coming down to the wire here. I would wager we're on the cusp of the last couple turns of this particular match. We do have a Wooten Hog, Big Boss Hog, coming in for 6. Still threatening a decent amount of damage. Is not lethal here, right? So Big Boss Hog's like, hey, you know what? I'm coming in for a little bit. Not enough to kill you, but enough to maybe threaten you.
Yeah, but if he blocks out here and misses the banishment or if he lets this fly and misses the banishment, well, you died your blood debt, right? So you have to just respect it anyways, but Dagan White here on 3 cards left, and it looks like Levia is likely, if not certainly, going to take this as...
Nice little pump.
Why not? And let's just make it big and tall and nasty.
Yeah, big and tall and nasty will be my debut album. So here we have the whole bin out for banishment. I'm not sure it's going to matter all that much. We do maybe got another couple cards with blood debt in there, but with Dagan down to the wire, only with a couple cards in hand, threatening 8 damage from David, you got to block or die, right?
Block or die, unfortunately, and he's going to be left petting his hog. I don't know what else to say. There's a Stony Wooten Hog left in hand, and unfortunately, Levia gets the draw up. Dagan White, just arsenal it, man. Just arsenal it like a champ.
Yeah, you can't even attack with it, right? You can't even use your weapon.
I mean, that would have been that would have been the pro move there. Is you just arsenal the Wooden Hog, you save it from its fate, and you move on.
Maybe he just wanted to play out all of his Wooten Hogs. He wanted them to all have their time in the sun. Here's my last Wooten Hog, just to show you.
Yeah, well,
I got Big Boss Hog here.
Big Boss Hog unfortunately got shut down, but this was just I want to give credit here to Dagan White, who really made a